Hello, everybody, and welcome to a different type of episode than what you usually see on Music with the Grump. Jude is not here today because he's taking care of his loved one who's ill, which is why it looks different than it normally does. So I'm going to go over a couple of albums that I've listened to recently, and I hope you enjoy it. The first one is Eminem's Death of Slim Shady. Now, in a previous episode, I watched the video and I said, well, dang, man, this sure does remind me of Without Me, which that was 20 some odd years ago. And my question was, are people going to enjoy this entire album? Are they going to reminisce about it? And are they wanting to see more stuff from today instead of something that was like 20 years ago? And it's about half and half. Half the people love it, half the people don't. They want to hear something different from that. There's several songs, like Habits talks about what he's doing now, how he disses on people, and that's just something that he's always done. But at this age, maybe he wants to change, but that's just a habit. Another song called Evil, the line is like, I refuse to change. So is he telling us like, I'm going to be who I am and that's who it is? And he's been going for over 20 years. But I'll be honest, I haven't listened to anything since Encore. I got out of music for a little bit when I had kids and all my attention went focused to them. And living in Houston, you just didn't have very good radio stations. So I didn't get to hear much. Thankfully, doing these shows now, I hear quite a bit of stuff, and that's great. Then you have Lucifer, which is a good tune as well. Then there's Houdini, which was the hit. And finally, you got Guilty Conscience. And that seems to be a song where Marshall is arguing with Slim Shady and how it appears that he wants to get away from that Slim Shady persona and not have to deal with it anymore. But the Slim Shady saying, no, I'm going to always be here. So as he has done when I used to listen to this, the Marshall Mathers LP and the Eminem show, he pulls out a gun. We hear the gun quite a bit. Same thing for 20 years, I suppose, to where he kills Slim Shady. All right, great. The death of Slim Shady. But then he wakes up and it was all a dream and he calls somebody. So is the whole album a dream, of what would happen if I killed him? But it's just a dream. So we're going to stick with what we've always done and what we've always known. So that's the song Guilty Conscience. It would have been great had he stopped there, because that pretty much to me told the whole story. But there's about 4 or 5 more songs where he continues, and it's a little bit different because on the last several songs, he's doing tunes with someone else. There's one about faults that he did with his daughter, and that's very touching. I'm giving it like a 3.5 because I do like most of the tunes. They were catchy, and I did like that, and I shook my head. But the lyrics, seems like he's fixated on Bruce Jenner and whoever he's a woman. He's a woman now. Caitlin, is that her name? Yeah. He mentions her at least 3 times in the album, and once was really enough to me. Just do the one song about her. I don't need to know about it continuously. And then he gets dogged about, he calls it the R word, except he went ahead and said it. And he says, our people don't know their R. Being somewhat of an expert in that field, I can tell him he's wrong, I've been in that field for 40 years, and the people who I serve, who have an intellectual disability, we don't use the R word, they know they're different. So they might not want to be, they might try to pass themselves off as not, but they know they're different. All right. So 3.5. I appreciate him trying to do something new. He did something that some people are going to relate to. Like I say, other people who reacted to the Houdini video were elated, like, oh my gosh. And my whole thing is like, do you want to put up with a whole album of that? So, Johnny Cash, songwriter. In a previous episode of Music with the Grump, I was saying how Johnny had with Columbia for many, many, many years, and then they dropped him. You see, Johnny Cash is an enigma, you know. Everybody liked him. Everybody went to his shows. Just nobody was buying his albums. And they dropped him, and he went with Legendary. And he was it Legendary? Mercury picked him up. And even they, on his first album, had him redo all his old tunes. You know, because he had that doom, 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 doom. I hear that train a-coming. It's coming around the bend. Well, that also comes with I Walk the Line. Doom, 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 because you're mine. I walk the line. Hey, even for Jackson, it's the same tune, just about with the doom, 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 just at a higher point. That's okay, man. He's the man. He's the man in black. But people weren't buying his albums because they heard that. With the exception of Johnny 99, one of his final albums on Columbia. Well, songwriter, he wrote these tunes, even recorded them on a tape. And it is different from, well, he wrote that before he did the American albums that Rick Rubin produced for him, and that was a more raw sound. So his son, Johnny R. Cash, you know, found these tapes, and like I said, I almost got to meet Johnny R. Cash when he did a songwriting class at Boss Light in Nacogdoches, Texas, but I wasn't in town that time. Anyway, these are not American albums. These are country albums that should have been what Johnny progressed through all the ages. It's kind of like it picked it up. And if Johnny was still alive and not doing the American albums, it would sound like this. Several songs, Well, All Right was nice, and that's songs 6, 7, and 8 on the album. Well, All Right was where he meets a woman in a laundromat, and they go on to love each other. She sang Sweet Baby James about a female he saw who could sing James Taylor. But my favorite was Poor Valley Girl. So those three songs are great love songs, which Johnny could do, that he liked to write to June Carter Cash. If you like Johnny Cash, you're going to like this album. It's something new, yet it's old. All right? It's a little bit... It's always good to hear Johnny Cash tunes, but remember, he did these songs before he went to the American albums with Rick Rubin, and there's usually a reason why you don't go ahead and bring the album out. I don't know what they were. And this isn't the first time they found those songs by Johnny Cash. After the American albums came out, there was, I think, two disc set of songs that he had just recorded that he had, and they found, and they put those out as well. But if you want new Johnny Cash, you got it, okay? And, you know, you hear Vince Gill do some backing vocals. It's not a gotta have. It's not even a you need to have it. It's just a go ahead and get it album. Now, Tim Bryant told everybody about it on his post about Micah Schnabel. And he said it was a folk album and you should listen to it. Well, I picked it up. Now, Tim was he had a band that did folk rock music, which I was a member of it. So was Mayley McCaslin. Mayley McCaslin, the very first subscriber to the Jim and Jude show. Hey, anyway, I picked it up on his recommendation, and it's described as a folk album. Okay. The lyric is basically, it is a folk writer's, their lyrics that a folk singer would do, that a folk singer would write, okay? Now, it's not Bob Dylan or Woody Guthrie in the 60s, okay? This is not even a folk rock album, all right? This is a rocking folk album. It's rock music, folk lyrics, and it is great. It's phenomenal. 4 songs actually. American Strip Mall is telling you how everything has changed. It's funny how America downtown used to be where everything was at. Then malls came and it just about killed American downtowns. But it did. The big stores are no longer downtown now. Well, now strip malls have come and they have killed regular malls. But 4 vignettes from an American strip mall is just basically about the changes in society. It's great. Christian band. Okay. It'll rub some people wrong, but especially in the 80s, there was a book called Addicted to Mediocrity that dealt with why are you trying to sound just like the world, preaching the gospel, do it for your own sake. Don't try to sound like Barbra Streisand, don't try to be a carbon copy of Journey and put something out. I'm not going to mention CCM bands, but there's some it's like, they sound an awful lot like this person and that person. But well, if an extremely successful band or album comes out, a lot of people try to sound like that. And I understand you're trying to get more people to listen to God's word, but in Christian band, it's like, be original, all right? Number 33 dryer, people at a laundromat, unlike Well All Right for Johnny Cash's Laundromat album. But I really enjoyed the song Coinstar. How we're all going broke right now, and people go to the Coinstar with all their change, kind of like, don't nobody see me. I'm not that way. I proudly go up to Coinstar because I need money. So that was Micah Schnabel, okay? And I really recommend getting that album. Like I said, I want to thank Tim Bryant for recommending that. All right. Tim Bryant owns a Boss Light, and this is the last week that it will be open because, times are hard. Well, and when he posted that on Facebook, they said, a lot of people wrote in, oh man, it's too bad. We're going to miss you. We love going in there and browsing. We love coming in to visit. And I'm like, if you're going to browse, you might as well buy. That's how things like this stay open. He gave you free coffee, that you could read your books that you bought, but people just kind of skipped the buy and book thing. And this isn't the first time this has happened to the band. He had a nice cafe in the daytime, music hall at night. You couldn't buy beer there, so you brought your own. So what did people do? They came in, drank their beer, and listened to music on his dime. And he was up there like, guys, I need to sell 3 more sandwiches a day, and we can keep this place open. Nobody moved. nobody wanted to say, give me a ham and cheese to help for the cause, and we had to lose that. So, you know, if you go into a local business, don't just visit it. Don't just visit the owner. Buy some stuff. That's how you're going to keep the stuff going. Also at the Boss, like Joe Lansdale, who has a book coming out this week from the Happy Learner Centers. You know, he would hang out at the Boss Light. Customers would come in driving for miles around. Is this a place with the Lansdale books? And talking to Tim, and lo and behold, Joe Lansdale walks in, signs autographs. It was a great place. It's going to be missed. It would still be there because every time I went there, my pocketbook was a little bit lighter. Support your local businesses, all right? Please. Now, I haven't been here in several weeks. A couple of things have happened. We had a hurricane here. I think it had like on all those maps they have that shows that where the hurricane could go, of all those, is going to go here. I forgot what they call them now. Anyway, only 2 forecasted it would hit Houston. 98 other ones was going down to Brownsville, maybe Corpus. Only 2 said it would hit Houston. Whoever bet on that, they won a lot of money. So I go to bed, and my biggest thing about hurricanes, when they come to Houston, they always come at night when you're trying to sleep. Why can't they come in the middle of the day when you're awake? But we were awakened by a big thud. That thud, and we knew what it was. We knew it was a tree. We knew which tree it was that was going to hit us. And the tree did land on our roof. Thankfully, a fence, if you can believe this, was holding the tree from totally crashing through our roof. But it was a massive tree. Oh, and the fence, Pasadena Fencing Company in Pasadena, Texas, used them because I don't know how that cedar fence held that massive tree up, but it worked. So, you know, we're dealing with that. And then the next day, by coincidence only, we hear another thud, and I'm like, let me get dressed. You know, and both of these things happened at 6:30 and 7 o'clock. So let me get dressed, go outside and see what happened. I figured the tree might have fell off the house. Some of it might have fallen off the house. I said, I'm gonna use the restroom first. I go into the restroom, and the thud we heard was that there was a leak at our shower, and the ceiling just fell down in the bathroom. Now, luckily for us, it all fell in the tub, so there wasn't that much cleanup. But we've had insurance people coming out, and I've just been busy to be able to get on here, and Jude as well. So that's why there's been a big gap. But I want to thank everybody. Jared Driscoll, a guy who listens, you know, this is going back to the first Being Me with Jim and Jude episode where we talked about AI. Well, Jared sent me about 3 songs that he has done on AI, and doggone, you'd have thought this was actual music from the 40s and the 60s. One was a song that he wrote for the 7 Soldiers of Victory. Then he wrote a song for his cat that he wanted to sound like 1960s Hanna-Barbera, but it sounded more like 70s Disney cartoons, and a couple other things. So thank you, Jared. Yeah, so beyond that, it's been pretty nutty. If you're going to buy an album of the 3 I did, Death at Houdini, songwriter, and Schnabel's album, which is, I can't remember, something about clowns. Anyway, I would get that one. Okay, Micah, M-I-C-A-H, Schnabel, S-C-H-N-A-B-E-L. That will be very high on my top 10 list at the end of the year. I hope everybody's doing great. I hope everybody's doing fine. I want y'all to be you, and I'm gonna be me. We're gonna be us. And if Jude shows me how to do this, you'll be seeing a lot more of me. I hope y'all are doing great. Again, You be you, I'll be me. We gonna be us's. I will see y'all next time. Salam.